Okay, so this is the third video on our topic of tree diagrams, and I wanted to show you a few ways of actually creating these. So we talked about them in the last couple of videos. We had a normal tree diagram, and then we also had weighted tree diagrams. So if you need to create one of these yourself, you could always draw it out by hand. But the goal here, like in AQR in general, is to give you tools that you can use after high school and after college so that you look really professional when you go to your job and people want to keep you around and give you more money. So there are a couple of ways of doing tree diagrams. The first way, we're going to talk about Google Slides in a second, but I'm going to show you Microsoft Office. Now, we have, remember, from my Umbo, we have a subscription to Office 365. Office 365 is handy, but on my personal computer at home, I always get the full version of Office. And the reason is that you have all kind of functions that you don't have with Office 365. So like in Microsoft Word and Office 365, you can't create the diagrams that you would normally be able to. So I'm going to open up a Word document that I already started. So notice here, I created a tree diagram. So this is kind of an example that I had on one of the worksheets that says Fall Harvest Festival. So basically you're designing a maze for your church's Fall Harvest Festival, and you want people to go through the maze and then possibly get a pumpkin, but you don't have enough money to buy pumpkins for everybody. So you have to design the maze so that not everybody gets a pumpkin, which kind of makes the maze more fun anyway, right? Because there's a chance of not getting a pumpkin. So maybe you got to pick the right way. It feels like Indiana Jones. Okay. So then you can answer questions about it. So if you design a maze like this, what's the probability that somebody gets a pumpkin? So you can set this up. And then over here, I have my little text box. I can move that around. So possible outcomes. So if I do this, so my possible outcomes, I have 5. And I can put in parentheses pumpkin or no pumpkin. Oops. So there are 1, 2, 3 possible outcomes where you get pumpkins in this particular maze. In this case, there are 1, 2 possibilities of no pumpkin. So then the probability of getting a pumpkin would be the desired, which is 3, divided by the total possible outcomes, which is 5. So in that case, 3 divided by 5 is 60%, right? Because 3 divided by 5 is the same thing as 6 divided by 10. So that's 60%. Or 0.6. Notice I'm putting this is Word. This is the full version of Word, and this is handy. Another thing that's really handy on the full version of Word is that you can insert actual equations. So if you're having to do reports for science classes or math classes or engineering classes or anything like that, you want the full version because then you can go in here and you can put your equations in there and make it look good. Okay, probability of no pumpkin. So there were 2 outcomes with no pumpkins divided by 5. It's the same thing if we multiply up, which is 4 out of 10. So that's 0.4 or 40%. Okay, so then if we go down here, if we're actually answering the questions, if you design a maze like this, what's the probability that somebody will get a pumpkin? Well, that's 3 out of 5. Or they have a 60% chance. So it says if you're planning on selling 50 maze tickets, so there's 50 people are going in, based on the probability of getting a pumpkin, how many pumpkins do you need to buy? Well, what you would do is you would need, so number of pumpkins. You would take the probability, which is 60%, so I would go 0.6 times, and there are 50 people going in, right? So you would need to buy 30 pumpkins. Now, probably in real life, you would buy like 35, just so you give yourself a little margin of error just in case, because things aren't always actually created equally. Okay, so the whole point of this, though, is this right here. So the question is, how did I create that? So I didn't go through and make every little box and every little line. That's a lot of work. So let me go down to a fresh page. So if I want to create this, what I do, so let's say I'm on my home page, that gives me all my fonts and everything. I'm going to go click over here to the Insert tab. From here, I go to Smart Art, and then I pick it out of the list. This is a hierarchy, and I'm going to do this one right here. I want the horizontal one. You can also do this one, like if it was a sandwich shop problem, this one might be good because notice it has labels on the top. So you might have white bread, wheat bread, whatever. Actually, let me go there. I've never actually tried this one, but let's look. It asks you what you want it to have. So this first one, I'm going to leave it blank. I'm going to put start. So that's me. Oops, not that one. That's me standing at the sandwich shop. I'm going to put start. So for right here, I'm going to put bread. I just type it straight in. I'm going to put white bread. I'm going to put wheat bread. But maybe I want Italian herb bread too. So notice over here we have this navigation thing. If I go here, like let's say I put, so right now, let's say this is ham. Doesn't really matter. But let's say I want to add another one right here. If I hit enter after I hit ham, I get another one in line with the ham. If I hit shift and tab, that takes me back one level. This is the same thing if you put bullets or numbers when you're typing out stuff. If you put tab, it shifts in a level. If you put shift tab, it takes you out one level. So like I have white wheat, now I can type Italian herb. Then I can also move these boxes around so that they're like nice and neat. So then over here, let's say this was our meat. So I might type right here, I might go ham. I might have beef. And I might have more choices. So like right here in this little navigation thingy right here, if I click on beef and I hit enter, it keeps me that same level. And I can put the tofurkey stuff. So then I can do the same thing here. So I go ham, beef, tofurkey. And then for Italian herb, if I hit enter, it takes me the same level, but I want to go over. So I hit tab and that takes me to my choices. So I would go ham, beef, tofurkey. Notice that my little diagram's getting small, and that's okay. We can adjust it out later with the arrows. Okay, so that's that. But let's say now we're at ham and wheat and all of that, but now we want another layer. So like let's say we want, so if I hit enter, it's going to create another column. So now I want cheese. So if I go here then, so I'm back up, let's go to white. If I go enter and then I tab, that takes me to my cheese column. So I might have cheddar. I might have a Swiss. Those are my only two cheeses. I could do the same thing for all of these. I don't know, maybe you could copy and paste. I have no idea, I haven't tried this. Maybe I would have to enter. So I would tab over and then paste. There we go. So I would come here, enter, tab, control V, and I would do that all the way down. So enter, tab, control V, enter, tab, control V. So, okay, so I would go down and I would create that hierarchy. I'm going to close out of this for a second. So now my table is super tiny. I can't even really read that. So what I want to do is I want to make it bigger. I could take this box and I could drag it and make it like that where I can see things more. And I can move this over so that I have more space. And now I can drag it even more. I could probably bring this down so there's, no, that would do that. But anyway, you could play around with these arrows. You can make your table bigger. But that's how you make a table. And you just choose the kind of chart you want to put in. For the pumpkin one, for this one, when I was choosing, so I'm going to go to the next page. If I wanted to insert one like the pumpkin one, I would go to Insert, Smart Art, Hierarchy, and this is the one I chose for that. And so when I insert that, then again, once I click on this, I can do the little navigation pane. I click on that arrow and it'll let me type in stuff there. That's through Microsoft Office, the full version. You can do pretty much the same thing on Google Slides. So with Google Slides, what you do is you go Insert, diagram instead of chart, or instead of smart art, and you would go over here to hierarchy. Now you can do it down that way, like pyramid looking, or we can arrow down and you can do the same thing like this. And see right here, it has 3 levels. If I wanted to, I could change that. So if I put Control Z, that goes away. Let's say I want 4 levels, right? Because I want the start, I want bread, I want meat, I want cheese. That would be 4 levels. So I would do that, and I would just come and I could choose this one or this one, whatever I want to choose. And once I start, see, it has this lorem ipsum, whatever. It's just jumbled up. It's supposed to be Latin for something, but I never really cared to look it up. But you just click on that, and wherever it is, you just type in your thing. So wheat bread, Italian herb, right? Right here, I might put start. You always want a start point, right? It might be you're stepping up to the person at the counter. It might be you're stepping up to the maze. That's your start point. This one, notice how this one only has 2. This one has 3. You can replace this with a third one like this. Like you could just, if you select that, it'll let you copy it, Control C. So then, like, let's say I don't want this here. I can do Control V, and I can take this and I could put it there. Ta-da! And then I could line these up with that. So you have the same possible way of doing this. The other way would be, like, if I insert, the other way I could do is I could draw it. So I could put a line. I could go, okay, that's me at the little sandwich counter. So I have one line there. I'm going to add another line here. So then you'll add text. So this might be wheat bread. This might be Italian bread. And you can draw it out with your lines. So any way you do this is fine. These ways, like with Microsoft Word or with Google Slides, this is going to make it a whole lot more professional looking. So if you're actually doing this for a job, you would want to do this and not do like a hand-drawn little tree diagram. For your AQR assignments, the tree diagram will work if you draw it out by hand, but you'll get more points if you do it like this. Either with Microsoft Office or with this, or you can even do it with Paint if you want to. It's a whole lot more work because you got to click a whole bunch of different times, right? But you could do the same thing. As long as it's nice and neat, it doesn't matter. It just needs to look professional, but that's how you would create a tree diagram.